The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for attending today's webinar. We're going to talk about the new CoStar Direct Exchange Mail or CDX Mail product. Just want to let you guys know we'll get started just at the top of the hour here. That's just a little bit under 5 minutes left. And then we will be taking your calls at the end of the webinar, or excuse me, taking your questions. If you'd like to submit a question, you can do so through the GoToWebinar module on the right side of your screen. There should be a section labeled questions. Submit those to us, and we will be happy to cover those at the end of the webinar. So thanks again for attending, and we'll be back with you just shortly. Okay, well, here we are at the top of the hour. I wanted to thank you guys very much for attending today's webinar. Today's webinar is all about the CoStar Direct Exchange Mail. That's also known as CDX Mail. My name is Bryce Mowry. I am with the LoopNet Marketing Department. Alongside me is Mike Mokas out in Denver, who is the head product on CDX Mail. How's things going out in Denver today, Mike?
Going excellent, Bryce. Thank you.
Great. Thanks for being a part of this here. We'll take you guys through a couple slides, just sort of overall summarizing what the product is, some of the things you can and can't do with it, and then Mike will take you through a step-by-step guide on how to use the product. We will jump out into the test site and go through a whole email campaign in just a few minutes, so you guys can see how easy it is. On occasion, our test site will act up. It is sort of our sandbox where we try all our new stuff. So on occasion, we break our test site. If for any reason our test site isn't working, we may turn to volunteers. So if anybody feels brave and wants to have their listing, we won't actually send out the email, but we'll demonstrate the tool on your listing. Shoot us an email, whatever your login email is on Listing Manager. Do that through the questions module, and we'll perhaps pick one of you guys and use your actual account to demo this new tool. But let's get right into it then. CoStar Direct Exchange Mail, or what we're calling CDX Mail, is essentially a way we have this incredible group of commercial real estate professionals that are involved in CoStar as well as LoopNet, either listing, they're searching, they're submitting comps. We wanted to come up with a way to connect this community of people, essentially a connected community of professionals, so that they can exchange available listings on any market via email. Now, there's a number of versions of this, and this is something that people have been asking us to put together for a while. You may be familiar on local MLSs, sometimes have a wants and needs board. This is a version of that, and it's a way to take this whole community, which is essentially made up of owners and brokers who've had a listing on the market in the last 2 years, professionals who've submitted verified comps in the last 3 years, and of course CoStar subscribers. It's a way to connect that group who is responsible for quite a bit of the transactions in the U.S. And allow them to communicate with each other around available listings. So really, what's the professional network made up of? It's CoStar subscribers and advertisers who represent 83% of the total U.S. deal volume last year, about 1.5 trillion in commercial real estate transactions last year, and they represent 93% or higher of the top 1,000 firms in the U.S. And I really say that only to say this is an incredibly powerful contact list that you guys have access to and that you're a part of. So there's about 200,000 or over 200,000, and we're probably growing at the moment, commercial real estate professionals that we've connected, and we'll allow you not only to receive emails from other brokers and owners, but you can send out emails to this list as well, and everyone has the ability to set up their preferences. So you guys should have gotten an email with the invitation to this webinar. That's more than likely how you found the link to this webinar. In that email, we also included a link to the CDX Preference Center. And in that link, you can go in and update your preferences. You can choose markets, property types, whether you're dealing for sale or for lease. And then you can remove any alert preferences that you've set up at the time. So maybe your needs have changed and you don't necessarily need that particular market and that particular property type. You can always remove that or unsubscribe from these at any time. But important thing to note here, you don't need to be a CoStar subscriber in any particular market to receive listings on this email. You guys are verified professionals. We've added you to this list, and you're part of the list for free as long as you want. You can always unsubscribe or resubscribe at any time. I would just encourage you guys to bookmark that preference center so you can go in and make changes as needed. So let's talk about sending listing emails. I think that's the core of why everybody's here. I want to talk you through just kind of the general, what is this tool and how do you use it, and if there are any exceptions. There are a couple exceptions to know about this. So CDX Mail is a new tool for you brokers and owners to send your listings to verified professional prospects that we just spoke about. They're looking for listings like theirs. So they've gone into their preference center. They say, I'm interested in this particular market and this particular property type for sale or for lease. And we'll match that up to your listing and allow you to send out to custom match prospects. So we've custom matched everyone with who's gone into their preference center and set their preferences to criteria that matches your listing. And we're going to give you 4 customizable email templates that you can choose from. Within that template, you can make a number of customizations, and Mike will walk you through that in just a moment. Then, of course, once you sent your email, you can then track how many people have successfully received your email, how many people have opened it, how many people have clicked it, and more importantly than any of that, you can get direct responses. So people can reply directly to the email, which will go right to you. They can gather your information, your contact information, like your phone number and your email from within that email template. We'll show you that in just a second, as well as any other brokers that are listed as broker contacts on that particular listing. We'll give you the opportunity to add on attachments, edit the photos, and things like that. So a number of tools built into this that allow you to send exactly what you'd like to send to the professional community about your listing. So let's talk about which listings can be sent. Essentially paid listings. So if you have a premium listing, a gold, platinum, or diamond, those are available to be sent. These are, if you have a LoopNet premium lister plan, you've added this particular listing to your listing manager and you've designated it as premium, or maybe you've upgraded beyond premium to gold, platinum, or diamond. Those all qualify to be sent to this list. One thing to note, I know that some of you are use the swap functionality for your exposure level. So you'll go in, you'll add a listing, set it to premium. Maybe it'll sit out there for 3 months at premium, and you get a new one, and you don't have enough premium slots left. So you're going to swap that listing down to standard, where it only shows on CoStar, and take another listing and swap it up to premium. Just note that once you send an email, that email for this CDX Mail tool has a link in it that links people directly to the listing on LoopNet. And listings only appear on LoopNet if they are paid listings. So if you've swapped a listing's exposure down to free, that link in the email won't work anymore. Now, something to note on this, once you send an email, the lifespan of the opens and clicks, it's about 48 to 72 hours. So I'm not saying you can never swap your listing once you've sent a CDX mail. What I am saying is if you send an email, probably best not to swap that exposure down to standard for 72 hours or so. And that's when you'll get the vast majority of the people opening up your email. Just a quick note on that so that you make sure you don't send out an email with dead links in it. So which listings can't be sent? Right now, listings with, of course, standard or what we call free exposure, that means it's just appearing on CoStar. It does not appear on LoopNet, City Feed, or Showcase. Those are not eligible to be sent with CDX Mail. Land for lease right now we are not supporting, and that's something we're working on alongside shopping center portfolios. And listings that have been sent within the last month. An important thing to note about this, and something I think you'll be pleased to hear as a person who will receive these emails, we only allow you to send your listing once every 30 days. So if you sent your listing, you cannot resend it again for another 30 days, and that's a pretty hard and fast rule there. The reason being, we don't want anybody to spam this list. I don't want people to get burnt out on this list. I want it to be useful. And if you send the same listing to me every single day, I will 100% unsubscribe from this list. And I don't want people to do that. I want this to be a useful and productive professional exchange. So we want to make sure that people don't abuse that. So who's allowed to send these emails? Well, if you have a premium or power ad, the primary contact on the listing can send the email. Any additional broker contacts that you've listed on the listing can also send the email. And those additional ones don't have to be premium members as long as the primary contact broker has designated this listing as premium or gold, platinum, diamond. The additional contacts that you've listed on there can send it out alongside the listing admins. So again, they don't have to be have premium accounts. They just need to be admins on the primary broker's account or a secondary broker's account, and that listing needs to be premium. You don't need a CoStar subscription to send these emails. Your CoStar information subscription is totally independent of this. So it only really comes down to, is your listing premium or gold or platinum or diamond? And if it is, absolutely eligible to send these emails. So a little bit of clarification, because now if you're a LoopNet premium lister or higher, you may know that there are currently now 3 email tools. So I just want to quickly clarify, because I think it can get confusing. Your custom email campaigns, which you find in the marketing tab of Listing Manager, those allow you to email to your own personal contact list. You have a spreadsheet of people that you do business with. Those people are people that you know and have a business relationship with. Custom email campaigns allows you to send a customized email to that group. Now, the next tool that we've already had and you may be familiar with is called Prospect List. And these are tenants and investors who are custom matched to your listing. They've saved a search on LoopNet. They put in specific search criteria, and that search criteria matches your listings. That also can be found on Listing Manager in the Marketing tab right next to the listing itself. And now we've added a third option, which is Custom Match Professionals. And that happens through the CDX tab on Listing Manager, and we'll see that in just a second. So just a quick summary, you can send to just tenants and investors. Maybe you'd like to represent both sides of the deal, so you're looking to put your listing in front of tenants and investors, or just want to influence a tenant to reach out to their broker and say, hey, how come I haven't seen this particular listing? Let's go do a visit on this one. You can just deal with the professionals. So if you don't want to deal with tenants and investors, you want to speak with someone who's a little bit more experienced in the commercial real estate game, now you can use CDX Mail to exclusively put your listing in front of professionals. And then, of course, you have the one where you can put it in front of your own personal contact list. And all of these have tracking. All of these have a custom match, at least the prospect list and the CDX Mail have custom match prospects. So we've given you a number of tools, and really you can personalize and pick which audience you'd like to market to. So I'm going to turn this over to Mike, and Mike's going to take us through a demo here. Mike, I'm handing it over right now, and I'll let you run with this.
Perfect. Thanks so much. All right. CDX Mail is found inside of Listing Manager. Same Listing Manager you go to add, edit, remove your listings on LoopNet, and if it's not paid, CoStar. When you first log into Listing Manager, we've got a nice announcement about CDX Mail, so you can get to CDX Mail right from this announcement. Or if you close that, you will see a new CDX Mail tab up here along with the other Listing Manager tabs. So if I click on CDX Mail, this brings me to a summary of my sent and draft campaigns. As Bryce said, I'm on a test server. This is test information, test listing. So if things look a little goofy, that's what's going on. But you can tell a sent campaign apart from a draft campaign because a sent campaign has sent metrics, the number of emails that were sent, the delivery rate on those emails, the opened rate. And if it's a draft, I do not have those stats. Instead, I can just edit the campaign, or I can delete that draft. I'm going to go ahead and build a new campaign. And this is both a drop-down and a type ahead, so I can scroll through my listings this way, or I can start to type in the name of a listing. I'm going to pick this building in New York. Select the From Contact. So this drop-down of From Contacts for this email campaign that I'm building is driven from the contacts associated with that listing back on the My Listings tab. So I can make this come from the broker on that deal. Campaign name is for your own organization and record keeping. So nobody sees this campaign name. We will show you the date that it was created, but some note in here to give you a reminder what the heck this email was. And then the subject line of the email that you'd like to go out. I will continue, and now I get to select a template. And a template is just the layout that will be used for this email when it's sent out. So we've got sort of a single landscape photo template. We've got a template that better accommodates a portrait photo, as we see in this example right here. We've got a 3-photo template if you've got some more photos for the deal, which that looks good there. And we have a no photo template. So if you don't need or want to share any photos if you're listing, you don't need to do that. I'm going to go ahead and continue to customize. And this is the customize page where you can customize your campaign. So we pre-fill the email template that you selected with all the information from your listing, including photos, the building name, the address, the square feet and price that it's available at. We have sections for highlights, attachments, listing details. So all this comes from listing. If you jump in here and like this example right here, we say, oh shoot, I forgot to add some highlights to this deal, and I think it'd be nice to have some highlights in this email. At this stage right now, you can go right back to My Listings up top. You can click on My Listings tab, go to that listing, edit it, come back to the CDX Mail tab. This will be saved as a draft right where you left off. You won't need to give it a new name or a new subject. And then when you come and click Edit Campaign, it will have that information that you just added to the listing. It'll be updated with that. So if you're missing anything, go up to My Listings. Otherwise, again, we populate this information from the listing. If there's something in here that you don't want to display in the email, for example, maybe I don't want to bring attention that this is a Class C building, I simply use the checkbox to uncheck that, and it turns from green to gray, and it shows that I've turned that off. And I also don't care to show the year built, that's fine. So again, anything that we include here, you can turn it on and off with the checkboxes. We do have a text box here where you can enter some text that will be specific to this campaign. And this text is not going to show on the listing. It's not going to update the listing. And this was a common request when we first released this to our smaller beta group. They said, hey, I want to, since this is going to a professional audience, I want to include some text that is specific to that professional audience, such as broker incentives on this deal. So you have the option to do that. Up top here, I can add or edit this title text and just bring attention to the fact that there's 2,500 square feet available. And I want to bring everyone's attention to this little color dropper, eyedropper tool. You can use this to change the color on this email to better match your company, your brokerage, either logo colors or branding colors. And I would encourage you to do this because right now I only see maybe 1 in every 20 or 25 campaigns using a specific color. Everyone else is just using our default, this dark gray default color that we use. As soon as you change that color, it really makes your email stand out. So that's worth doing. As far as photos are concerned, I can click this icon here, which is to pick a different photo. So maybe I wanted to try this guy in here. It updates with that photo, and then I can actually crop that photo. So if I wanted to stretch this out, show a little bit more of that iconic roof line, click Save, that updates, and then I've got photos down here that I can swap out or crop also. So maybe here I wanted to bring attention to the market that it's in. Once you're happy, you've updated your photos, you turn information on and off. You say, yeah, this looks pretty good. Up here in the top right, you can click Preview. And this shows you a preview of that campaign. This is exactly the code, the HTML email that we're going to send out to the list that we're going to generate for you. And you'll see we don't have those edit icons. If I turned any of that information off, it's not displayed here. So you can double check that you are happy with all the information in this email. You can also toggle to a mobile view of that email, what this looks like when it arrives on a cell phone. And I like to point this out because I get hammered with broker listing emails all day long. I've been working in this business for about 20 years, and my email address has made it onto a lot of lists. And very few 5% or less of those emails today are coded so they'll resize from your desktop email client down to a cell phone. And so I think that's a really nice feature function of CDX Mail. I'm going to go ahead and assume that I'm happy with both the mobile and desktop preview. I'm going to continue. Here we are on the last step here. This is the test and send page. If you needed to change a campaign name or subject, you can do that. There's an edit button here. You can send a test email. And so kind of common workflow is we'll see the broker or a marketing admin create the email, send it to the landlord or the seller or the broker on the deal so they can get final review before this goes out to, in this case, a potential list of 2,500 recipients. Please, everyone on the call, always send a test. It is worth taking the 30 seconds it takes to type in your email address, send a test, get that in your inbox, test the links, double check all the information. That is absolutely worth taking the time to do. When you send the test again, just drops you right back here on the CDX Mail tab. You can click Edit Campaign. And then continue right. So I've sent a test. I'm happy with how it looks. If I'm ready to send, I can see that I can send this out to 2,500 recipients that represent 491 million square feet of office or retail transactions in the last 2 years in this market. So if I'm happy, I can go ahead, click Send Now. It says selecting Send Now will send your campaign. Please note this process cannot be undone. So if you click Send Now, within milliseconds, this email is sent out to all those recipients and you immediately start getting campaign stats back on that campaign. So I'm going to go back up to CDX Mail here and let's look at one of these. So again, I'm on the test server right now. My emails go to exactly one email address. Not very exciting, but on a bigger recipient list, this page is pretty darn cool. You see the delivery rate on your campaign, your open rate, and your click rate, the audience that it was sent to, and then this listing exposure graph. And I'm going to show you some examples of this listing exposure graph from real campaigns. These are real graphs from real campaigns that were sent out, and consistently with this new CDX tool, we see just a massive spike of listing views when you send that campaign out. Huge spike. Each time a campaign is sent, you can see the impact that has on your listing views. So it's a very smart, targeted audience that's going to people that have been involved in transactions for the same property type, listing site type, sale or lease in the market of the listing that you are sending. So very active audience and a very targeted audience, and that targeting is really reflected in our open rates, where we are still consistently hanging out in a 20% on the low end to 30% on the high end open rate, which for a marketing email is absolutely phenomenal for this type of message. Let me show you a couple examples of emails that are being sent out through CDX Mail today. And here is, I'm going to minimize this. Here is an email using that sort of default gray color I mentioned to you. It looks perfectly fine, but doesn't look as nice when you actually choose colors. Today, I think I received my favorite listing in a CDX Mail so far. Check this out. This is a real 7-story office building for sale in Ohio that looks like a basket. I thought that was pretty neat. They updated the colors to match your logo. I think it looks pretty darn nice. As the recipient, I can click on this View Full Listing button, and that takes me right into the listing on LoopNet. Everybody that's receiving these emails, down on the bottom here is a link. So again, you can send these, but you're also receiving these most likely. And in each one you receive, there's a link here to click here to view or change your preferences. And that link goes to, let me find out where my window went. There we go. goes to this subscription preferences page right here. So most people, when they come in here, it's going to look a lot like this. Subscribe to maybe 1 or 2 markets, subscribe to maybe 1 or 2 space uses, and then we have a toggle up here for sale or lease. So in this example, you'll see that I am subscribed to Denver office and industrial. Let's say I also wanted to receive emails for a nearby market called Colorado Springs. I'm going to go ahead and add that. And let's say I wanted to do that on sale also. So it's just as easy as selecting the markets you'd like to receive email for, updating that, and apply. And as soon as I click save, I'm going to start getting emails for both those markets. And then let's pretend that I was just in Denver and then I opt into Colorado Springs, and all of a sudden I'm getting just a ton of Colorado Springs emails, and I say, this isn't quite what I expected. I can just, any one of those emails I receive, I can click on that preferences link, come right back in here, and again, change my preferences. So you can adjust this real time. Effects take place real time. As soon as you opt out of a market, you're no longer getting emails for that market. But you can play with this and adjust this for what's appropriate. And here's just one more example of a recent email that was sent out where they changed the colors, matches their logo really nicely, matches the listing really nicely. This is just a great looking email campaign that went out. So that is CDX Mail front to back. Bryce, did I miss anything?
No, I think that's a great summary of how to send these out and kind of what they're going to look like once they hit your inbox here. If you don't mind, I'll take the presentation back here and just quickly want to tell people a couple tips on emails. I myself am an email marketer, and so I've been sending emails out to mass audiences for a better part of a decade. Just a couple quick tips. You're the audience for these emails. You're both receiving and sending these emails, so send the information you'd like to receive. Just use it. Basically, use the golden rule on this. Use short, attention-grabbing subject lines, something that you use going to catch someone's eye, but also something that explains exactly what's in the email. I had the best luck with just being very upfront about what is in the email. I would also recommend you guys not use all caps for your subject lines. Sometimes that will filter an email into the spam box as opposed to delivering it to the inbox, which is a good chance then you'll never be seen using that kind of thing. So go easy on the exclamation points, go easy on the all caps. Those are 2 things that spam filters look for. I would say also, Mike showed you that you can actually name your campaign so you can come back and look at it later. I would really highly recommend you name your campaigns, the address or the property name, and then the month you sent it, because as you know, you can send these emails once every 30 days. So you want to keep track of if interest is sort of waning after the second or third send. If you're starting to see that people aren't paying as much attention, because this list is, somewhat, it's going to grow, of course, but the same people will be on here, so they will have gotten your email a couple times. If you notice that the list is starting to pay less attention to the email on the third send, I would say, back off. Don't oversend, and just essentially know your audience. You're speaking to a bunch of commercial real estate professionals, so don't hold back on the terminology. You can speak as if you're speaking to someone else who obviously knows the industry. I wanted to open it up then to, one more addition to this on CoStar.com/listingmanager/help. We have how-to videos. So if you guys watch this webinar, but then a couple weeks later you kind of forgot, we have a step-by-step how-to walk through a bunch of things on Listing Manager, but specifically CDX Mail is a video up there as well. And if you need to speak to someone, reach out to help@loopnet.com, or you can call us at 800-601-8803. So I wanted to open this up to questions. If you guys had any questions, me and Mike will stick around as long as you have questions. But wanted to let you guys know that, again, anyone on your listing can send emails. This is as far as if it's a premium listing. The primary broker has the ability, as do the secondary contacts, and any listing admins that you've assigned to those brokers have the ability to send that out. So this is a really cool tool, and I'm excited to get it off the ground, and we'll be having new versions of this develop later on, adding on new features as we go and taking your feedback. So really appreciate you guys taking a look at these and giving us your feedback. Either filter it through your salesperson or send it to us at marketing@loopnet.com. We're always happy to hear from you guys. Well, Mike, not a huge list of questions, and I'm gonna chalk that up to us doing an excellent job of explaining every possible scenario on this webinar. Did you have anything else you wanted to add before we sign off here?
The only thing I forgot to cover, when you go in and you're creating your first campaign and you're making those changes and edits, and you change the color and you're editing the photos and the other content of that email, I forgot to bring attention in the left margin, right when that page comes up, there's just a simple box that says Quick Tips, and that covers the 4 or 5 most common questions that we've seen so far in CDX Mail. It's editing the title, it's changing the color, it's changing listing information. So would tell you to check out the 4 or 5 quick tips at the top left of the corner when you're editing your first campaign. Perfect.
I will say that if you guys come up with questions afterwards, you think, oh, I wish I would have asked that, feel free to email them to us at marketing@loopnet.com. We will be happy to get back to you guys on any questions you have around that, or just reach out to your salespeople. They are well trained in this and are ready to answer your questions on it. So thank you guys so much for attending today. We really appreciate it, and good luck sending out these emails. I hope that it helps you close a deal. Have a great one, guys.
Thanks.